We'll get going live here on LinkedIn, and then we'll.
There we go. That's better.
All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Exit Your Way Business Roundtable. We are going to be talking today about the keys to building a business you can sell or succeed. I know this is a subject that many people might think it's a snoozer. It's something that we work on every day, though, and I get excited by it because it's fun to be able to do it, and fun to be able to help people create businesses that they actually can do something with when they are ready. So what we're going to do today, we figured that this would be a slight crowd today just because of the fact that we have the holiday week, and I hope there's some people that are enjoying that. But what we're going to do today too, as we usually do, we're going to let people come up and introduce themselves, and depending upon how many people we have, we might keep a fair amount of people on the stage to participate in the discussion and go from there. But Andrew, let's go ahead and start bringing people up. And I was going to say, if you're on LinkedIn, watching us on LinkedIn there, let us know where you're watching from. I'm looking over here to this other screen of mine. Let us know where you're watching from. If you've got any questions about the topic, once we get into it, we can do that. We're going to start out like we always do, letting people introduce themselves. So here we go. We got Jill. How's Jill doing today?
Woohoo! Jill's doing good. It's a happy day. It's going to be about 10 degrees cooler than it was yesterday.
Yeah. So you heard my desk going up and down.
I did. I heard this. I was like,
Yeah. No, I've been doing that for a while.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah. A guy that I work with, he actually has one of those walking treadmills at his desk, and then he has a stand-up desk, and so that's what he does. He walks all day long.
Yeah. I have a bouncy ball to sit on.
Yeah,
one of those gym balls, anyways. But anyways, it's done a lot for my back.
Yeah, I have a
great.
Yeah, I use a kneeling chair for my back. So just to take that pressure off the lower back, right?
Yep.
Damon, I think we're getting a topic. I think we need to talk about staying healthy in the workplace, especially now with people going back to the office, right?
Yeah. That could be another topic. I mean, because it is. You got to think about this last year. People have sat probably a lot more than they normally did prior to that, because you think of the office environment, you get up and walk around a little bit sometimes and those kind of things. Whereas at home, you may not much at all.
Yeah. Or they got used to being able to, be out walking around and, having, like, I got used to that. I can have phone calls while walking around, and, I can be walking my neighborhood on the phone.
Yeah. Well, tell us how you're helping people.
You caught me at the liquor store yesterday buying wine. Yeah, I can multitask.
Andrew's multitasking, stocking up for the week.
It was a long weekend.
Yeah, it was a long weekend. There you go. Exactly.
Oh, that's so awesome. So, Damon, I love working. I work with small businesses, those small business service providers, and I work with them to develop their team from what I say is average to amazing, which is going to bring more certainty about the future for that company, right? And then I'm able to do it without any service disruption.
Nice.
Cool. So when you talk about that, what's a typical business that you're helping?
There is no typical business as far as industry. I've been working with tons of different industries. I worked with a dentist. I worked with a meat processing company, insurance, digital media. So there's lots of different industries. It's really about the size of the company. I'm super passionate about small businesses. They are doing such great work, and they want to have access to the same tools that the bigger companies have access to. They just simply can't afford the kinds of things that Amazon, Nike, Walmart, some of those places that they can afford. So I love my point is 40 or less employees.
Okay. That's good. That's good. It's good to understand that you can, you're talking about employee count and because of the way you're helping people, it's relevant.
Yeah.
Really relevant.
Because the principles are typically the same. Obviously, there's nuances of each different service because they have some slightly different processes.
Mhm.
But as far as how teams function, how managers manage people, those are, worldwide. Those don't change at all.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, thanks so much for being here today, Jill.
Well, do we have a question though?
Yes, we do. It is
So
an easy
close.
question.
So easy.
It is an easy question today. It's an easy
Ooh.
question today because what are you most looking forward to this summer?
Oh, I'm so excited about this summer. When we moved to Portland, we moved here and like within 3 days, everything shut down because of COVID. So we have not experienced what really we thought life was going to be like up here. And now that things are starting to open up more, we're super excited about all the adventures that we're going to be going on and experiencing. We're going to go to Crater Lake. We're going to, do some fishing. We're going to we just have a lot of adventures on the calendar. So
Awesome.
super excited about that.
Crater Lake is beautiful. It's been, I don't know, 5 or 6 years since I've been up there, but I was up there on my motorcycle and that was
Oh,
it.
yeah.
So, awesome.
We took on Monday, we have a 78 Corvette. And so we took that out on Monday and we did a drive down the Dalles and then around Mount Hood and then came back up through like Sandy and Estacada.
Wow. So that's all new for you then, Portland.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah. Despite what they say, it's a great town, a lot of great things to see there.
There really is. It's been sad to see some of the decline in the last year because my day job has me out during the day. So, and I'm traveling quite a lot. So I've seen a lot of change and it makes me kind of, it's sad, but I also think that as we are starting to open back up, that people are going to start coming out and saying, let's make this a great place again.
Yeah.
There was a study that I read for when I was working in school, and it was about the work that New York City did to combat crime. And what they did is like the biggest thing is they would eliminate graffiti. So every night they would go in on the subways and they would, clean up all the graffiti. They clean everything up. They cleaned up their city. And the study found that as they did that and that they were consistent about that the crime rate actually went down. And I think that we're going to see that in Portland.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, thanks for being here today, Jill. Awesome seeing you again. Professor Pete, I know you were enjoying the weather. I saw that you went out and did a wicked hike this last weekend. And
I did.
Yeah. So,
I did. I took advantage of it, and now I'm actually in California, so and the weather's really nice here as well. So I'm hitting it good. I literally I didn't need my coat when I took off yesterday from SeaTac, so it was really nice.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Pete, tell us about yourself, and then we'll get the question of the day going for us.
Sure. Well, you guys, most of you know me. In addition to being the popular host, or not popular host, I'm the host of the popular Winning at Business and Life podcast. I'm the president of Office Plants by Everything Grows. And we help companies reduce stress, improve productivity, and receive outstanding ROI through the methodical design and placement of lush living plants in work environments.
Yes. So are you working in California, or are you there?
I am. I actually have I have a meeting I'm going to be getting to here shortly. So it's good. Normally I would wear my my company stuff, but it's too warm. So so I'm just doing the normal stuff. And for your question, I would say that I'm actually living it right now because it's been a year and a half since I've had a chance to visit down here, and so a lot of family and friends that I haven't live. I'm looking forward to being able to do that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, good luck on your meetings and have a wonderful rest of your week, Pete.
You too. Talk to you later, guys.
All right. Bye. Well, AJ, how are you today?
Great. How about you guys?
Wonderful, wonderful. So tell us about yourself, AJ.
This is AJ. So I work as a business development manager and IT recruiter in a staffing firm, IT staffing firm. So I basically help my clients to fulfill their hiring requirements, mostly into the IT sector, like developers, DevOps, Salesforce, DBS, and all kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I basically recruit throughout the nation, throughout the US, but I'm from India.
Yep. Awesome. So you're recruiting for IT professionals to support U.S. businesses in India.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly. From India.
And then, so what are you looking forward to this summer? I know you're still locked down pretty hard in India, but
Exactly. So just summer has finished. Okay, from we are entering into rainy season, so I just want to get out from this COVID.
yeah.
Get out into the normal life.
Yeah. So you guys are going into the rainy season now?
Exactly. So since a couple of days, from Jan 1st, it's a rainy season for us. June 1st.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, thanks for being here today, AJ. Great to see you. Andrew Deutsch, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So how does Fangled Tech help people?
We're the guys at the drive-through that give you that extra ketchup packet you didn't even ask for.
Yes. If I would eat ketchup, it would be good. I had to stop.
Yeah, we answer a question that people ask all the time. How could I get a C-level executive marketing strategist on my team when I can't afford one and don't need one 5 days a week? And we do that by really digging in, becoming part of the companies that are our clients and as part of their executive team, and help them actually build their core strategy before they go out and get all those tactical tools that bring it to market. We help you convert every touch into a voracious advocate for your brand.
Nice. Good stuff. Well, Andrew, what are you looking forward to this summer?
Letting the hostages out of my base. Oh, I'm sorry. This summer, getting my kayak back in the water and having some fun. Get out in the sun and enjoy the wildlife.
Yeah. So where are there some rivers that you go on there? You go on lakes?
A bunch of them.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a bunch of natural rivers. You can also go down to the downtown Cleveland and pop into the canal and see the city from the water with the Cuyahoga River going through there, or out on Lake Erie. There's lots of places to go around here.
Yeah. Good stuff. That's good. Yep. All right. Good stuff. I want to do more of that. I was just looking at the kayaks the other day. So I think it'd be fun.
It's a lot of fun. And it's one of those things you don't even have to be good at it to have fun.
Yeah. See, that's kind of, I need that stuff. Yeah,
that wasn't I wasn't talking about you in particular, but
No, I'm just saying it fits me in particular. That's good.
I think it's easier on the knees, right?
Yeah, it's easy on the knees. Yeah.
I love canoeing, but usually with canoeing, you end up on one side of the canoe most of the time, and you walk off crooked.
Yeah.
So with a kayak, you're doing both sides.
Yeah, that's good. A little of that. Good stuff. Well, thanks, Andrew. And I'm sure we're going to have you up here a little bit later when we start talking about this subject, because I know you've helped companies in diligence on buying businesses before. So that'll be good. Thanks. Good to see you. Dennis Bolger, how are we today?
We be doing good. How is you all?
Great, man.
I was a little late getting in, but we're up and running.
Yeah.
So, what we do is we help bring a less cost risk management solution to businesses and people's lives. And so if you've got a risk question, we're here to help. If you've got a situation where you think you've got a risk, we're here to answer that question and help with it. And we can actually operate now in all of the lower 48 states. So we're here to help all the way around. And that makes it even more fun. So
Yeah.
working with somebody in Chicagoland right now, or Indiana. Where are they at? They're in Indiana. So lots of things we can do all over the United States, including right here in Pacific Northwest. And what am I looking forward to this summer? I want to see the grandkids actually play on a playset that we're setting up in the side yard of our house. And last weekend, we moved about 10 yards of dirt to level that area out. And I'm feeling a little of that now.
Yeah.
As is Junior. But, you know, it is what it is. And then we want to get out in the trailer more often. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. Good things, man. Good things. Great to see you, Dennis.
Good to be seen.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Too.
Great. Grant, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, and I'm glad to be here.
All right. Great. So tell us a little bit about your company and what you're doing.
Well, let me come at it this time a little differently. We're obsessed with healthy aging. It's a personal journey, to be sure, but why that's important is that I used to play a lot of competitive tennis, a lot of sun damage. We know it's cumulative, and so what I've done is I cover up when I go out in the sun, and I supplement. D3. Most Americans, by the way, are chronically depleted in D3. Mm-hmm. So we know we can these things that are healthier for us. So healthy aging is and supplementing can reduce some of the stresses on us. Where I'm coming from is that a sustainable supplementing is for daily use. We don't want a toxic load. We don't want to be destroying somebody else's ecosystem just because we can't see it. And I think there's a global stewardship that we need to be sharing, and that's where it ties in with our hospitality line, because packaging needs to be accounted for at the end of its life. And so we're shooting for landfill degradability. That's what we're doing is we're trying to address those 3 points of sustainability and toxic loading and sort of thing.
So Grant, I just saw you take a sip out of is that one of your products?
No, it's just a water bottle from that's glass,
Okay.
I think it was Andrew that noted that I was. It looked like I was drinking vodka.
Vodka. That was last weekend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So what are you looking forward to most this summer, Grant?
Getting this bloody hotel amenity business launched and into trials.
Good. Yeah, that'll be fun for you for sure.
Yeah.
And now that resorts and everything are really starting to get busy, from what we see anyway. I don't know if the hotels are yet, but I know the resorts certainly are.
They're coming back.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Well, awesome to see you, Grant. Have an awesome rest of your week. So now, first of all, I was calling you Mahid last year, but last week, how do I properly pronounce your name?
Hey man, with a name like Majid, if you come close, I respond.
That's what I thought. I was gonna say Majid, but I was saying Mahid last week, and I apologize, man.
You're good, brother.
But you know what? With the last name like Pistulka, I pretty much kind of just whatever, So.
I don't even try it. I don't even try to do the last name.
All right, Majid, awesome to see you today. Tell us how you're helping people. You were on here last week, did an awesome job talking about IoT, man. You and Clayton, it was great.
Thank you. It was good to see some familiar faces. I love this format, and I'll be back here more often. But so what we do for organizations is basically give them insight into their businesses to be able to make decisions with. That's really where organizations get stuck in all the bureaucracy, right? So being able to help them make data-driven decisions. And the way we do that is by making their building smart. Basically, what we do is add intelligence into their lighting, which covers every square inch of the facility. So anything that they want to measure or monitor is at their fingertips. And so we basically take a building which has one function, and then make that a multi-function building by have the building actually reach out to the organization and say, hey, this is what's happening with me, fix me. Right? So or get ahead of issues that might be coming up. It's more predictive than reactive. So it's something that's really exciting. We're working with mostly the larger entities right now, but this year we're going to start focusing more on the mid-market. So we're looking for both people who are in that mid-market space, but might not even have the capital dollars, or that are frozen right now for most companies to make decisions with, because we have a whole suite of financial solutions to help them do this project with no money out of pocket, So, or against their capex. So we're excited about it. And then for your question, what we're doing this summer, I just moved my parents out here to Vegas, so super excited for that, because now my wife and I can actually go out and do stuff.
Yeah.
So yes, and then we've been traveling quite a bit. We've been finding boondocking spots around in Arizona, actually Vegas. There's just so much natural beauty around here, so we're super excited to explore it. We just moved to Vegas about 18 months ago.
Nice. Awesome. Well, it'll be 18 months ago. You were there just enough to experience a little bit, and then everything went.
Yeah, we were super excited. We came, and then they shut everything down. We're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, if we were to be stuck, it's better in Vegas than in Chicago. So
Cool.
Yes, the weather's a little bit better. Awesome, Ajit. Thanks. Great to see you today. So, Troy, I gotta say, it looks plush around you right now. And
What a background.
I hope you're outside at your house, because it's.
I am.
Nice.
I'm outside. It's a bit of a different day than I've been working outside all day, every day this week so far, because the weather's been fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit overcast, but I see that it's supposed to burn off, so that's good.
Yeah, it is. And it's just been magical the last few days up here, hasn't it?
Oh man, so you talk. I could answer the question first. My summer is to be spending outside, right? I mean, we've got so many beautiful things in the Northwest. We typically don't even travel in the summer because it's so beautiful here. And so, my goal this summer is to really just get outside and enjoy the outdoors as much as possible, whether it's taking some hikes, jumping in the beautiful waters we have all around these islands and stuff. So that's what I'll be doing.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, great seeing you this morning. Troy, tell us how you're helping people.
Well, most of you know who we are. I work at Alliance Bernstein, and specifically on the private wealth side. We're a global investment research and management firm. And as an advisor with Bernstein, my job is to make money meaningful for our clients. They know they're going to be okay financially, but one of the biggest reasons they hire us is for our advice and our assistance to help guide them through the complex issues that come with having significant amounts of wealth. So people can think of us as essentially a client's family office, but the only cost to them is the investment management that we do. I focus my practice on working with business owners. And so especially, my goal is to meet them early, see where we can add value. There's a number of ways. I'm a big believer in karma, and I don't want to be that advisor who reaches out to an owner once they've sold their company, or if they're thinking about taking their company public. I'd rather, add value ahead of time and have a relationship with them. So, that's kind of the position I'm in. One of the main reasons we get involved early with these owners, well advance of some kind of an exit or sale, is that we've created this system that you're aware of, Damon, that simulates the sale of a private company. And it trades off different deal terms in an after-tax environment based on how the family has structured that business and how wealth may be held through the generations. And so we're often referred to business owners to help them pre-experience a few different planning ideas that may include things like transferring shares to the next generation, taking discounts, and terms like that. And so, in addition, there are several strategies that business owners can implement prior to the deal closing that can minimize the tax burden of the transaction. So our goal is to really, help them around those things, and then hopefully have an opportunity to manage a part of that liquidity.
Awesome, Troy. Well, you're going to be one of the people that, if we can keep you on stage for a few minutes here, we're going to.
I'd love to, yeah.
And because it is and people will think this is funny, maybe, or kind of strange, our first question that we'll talk about when we get into our subject, but it deals with what you do. So we'll do that. So Andrew, has everyone gotten up so far?
That, I believe, is everybody.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's get in.
What's that? Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't gotten up, just put it in the chat. Let's bring Troy and Andrew. Keep Troy and Andrew on the stage.
Okay. Yep, I just ziggied.
Just shut Troy off. But we'll get him back, and we'll get Andrew up here. Sorry. Come back, Troy. Come back. All right.
I thought it was the birds in the background.
I don't know if I should be up here. We ran out of ketchup packets. I gave them all away.
Oh,
darn it.
Fry sauce. That's what we get here.
We got mayo. We got some mayo left.
Well, it's great to get you guys here, and I know that this subject for some people it's two things. None of us like to think about retirement, first of all, right? And that's why I think that why business owners have a lot of tough times thinking about selling or succeeding company, and because we don't like to look. And this may be something, I'm just going to throw it out there. And Troy, you deal with people like this every day. It may be just us confronting our own reality that we, have a limited lifespan and we're going to be here for so long, and people don't like to do it. But how many times do you get business owners that are really near the end and they haven't planned?
Oh gosh, more than I care to remember. It's actually pretty sad. They often, these business owners are so busy focusing on their business, and you can spend a lot of you can set up a structure, you can spend a lot from what the proceeds of a business, and so they're living life, they're staying busy, and they're not thinking. Too many of them aren't thinking about, okay, once you sell the business that's been your baby for years and years, what are you going to do? And have you properly set aside money in structures that are going to allow you to basically live off that, what we call core capital? And that's the amount of money that someone, you, me, Damon, Andrew, need to live off of, right? If once we decide to retire and we're spending from a portfolio, that's core capital. And that money is supposed to be there to sustain our lifestyle for the rest of our lives. And too many people haven't really put enough money away to even be thinking about it. And so it's too many that I care to remember.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, Troy, that you just led us into the first question. We said the keys to building a business you can sell or succeed. And I think one of the first ones is exactly what you said. Knowing how much money you need. Because how many times, Andrew, do we get it to the point, and this is just going to Troy's point too, is that we get to the point where we're sitting down the business owner that wants to sell their business, but they haven't talked to their retirement planner. They haven't looked at their overall portfolio to see if the assets that they have outside the business and the assets that the business will give them at the sale is enough for them to live on.
And I think further to what Troy was saying too, a lot of these business owners really, I don't think it dawns on them that what they have here, what they really, there really is, I think they think of it as, I'm running here, I'm trying to get my sales, I'm thinking about next month and how we're doing this month. They're not thinking about, building equity. That's big stuff, acquisition, succession, tax strategies, and until it occurs to them until that day gets there and they're like, well, here it is, plan for success. That it was cool what when Jill Valdez was on earlier too, talking about, I think this is a common trait in these companies. You have access now to what the big boys have. You may not have the time, but the tools you have, either with, these, like what Troy's offering and Andrew's offering, these are the same kind of strategies and tools that the big companies use to play like the big boys do. And think about it as you find out later, I should have. That's the
well, and
worst part.
Honestly, too, Andrew, someone looks at the value of a company and comes to someone like Troy and they say, okay, I'm going to get $10 million for their company, that might not be enough.
Yeah.
Depending upon what they want to do. And we've all been, I know Troy, you've certainly been in those situations where people have a lifestyle, because you'll get used to the business. And this is where people get trapped in the business. They can make $1 million a year. And that business is a great income generator. But if they can sell the business for $6 million, $8 million, then they look and they haven't been investing any of that $1 million and then building their portfolio outside the business. They're going to sorely realize that $6 million, $8 million they're getting for that business. First of all, that's the gross number. And then when Troy talked about one thing in there, he says, tax, what did you say? What was the term used? Net of taxes or something like that?
Yeah, it's the after-tax proceeds.
There you go, the after-tax proceeds.
Tax after you pay, your closing costs, after you've had to contribute to working capital on the deal, and we talk about that, and nobody knows what that is until it happens. So it was $6 million, and now it's, capital gains is what, 40% now, potentially.
Well, yeah,
so
think about that.
We're out the door with 2.5, so.
Yeah, I mean, think about, there's a potential capital gains tax increase and reduction of the federal estate tax exemption that's been proposed by the Biden administration, and that could significantly affect a lot of goals.
Yeah, you're right. And it's funny because it was a smaller business. So I was just talking with this about an owner last week, because we had gone through this process with him a long time ago, and we knew that he was going to have to run his business for a number of years, invest, and do the other things. And he is going through this process, and he is considering selling his business this year just to potentially get ahead of those tax increases for next year, if that's what his tax advisor advises him on, those kind of things. But it is a significant deal, because just think 20% on a $10 million deal, and you take everything in and out and just say there's $6 million. That's part of capital gains taxes, and that's still $1.2 million tax difference. Not just total taxes, but tax difference on a year. So it's a significant amount on a business owner leaving the business in 2021 and beyond, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, Damon, you remember this? We worked with a mutual client, and that client, you had found some wonderful deals for that client, and the client unfortunately had thought he was doing the right thing with an estate planning attorney by stocking away a significant portion of his assets in the company into a trust ahead of the sale, and then realized subsequently that they set aside too much money, and he didn't have enough of a pot to live off of for he and his wife and all the other expenses that he needed. And so it was something as simple as that. So, calling us in ahead of time before you make those drastic decisions is imperative, because then, every deal that you had brought to him, I remember this vividly, would have sustained his lifestyle spending. But he had just made some unfortunate decisions ahead of time, which kind of wrecked him.
Yeah.
Well, then, and by, taking that step and, like I said, planning for success, right? So then when you work with guys like Troy, and you know what you're going to be looking like when you come out of the other side of that transaction. And maybe if you're, sitting at that seat now and you're about 5 years away from that, you can do something about it, because if it isn't where you need to be, you don't need to find out at closing.
And that's honestly, that's where business owners typically find out their business is not worth enough, is when they start to talk to somebody about, hey, I want to sell my business. Or if you're talking about succeeding your business, I look at the two the same, because essentially you're selling your business to the next generation, even if you're not selling it, right? Even if you're not selling it, what you're doing is you're bringing another generation into that business. And if you still expect to stay in the business and pull cash out of that business, and the next generation is going to, now you have more mouths to feed out of that same business, you better be building the value in that business so you can sustain that next generation, just like a buyer would have to do.
Yeah. Well, I like the word here. Words are important, but keys to building a business you can sell or succeed, succession, success. That is really what a transaction is. It doesn't matter if it's succession to a family or to the next management or the next ownership group or to investors or to an IPO. That's succession. That's legacy. And that's really what that's really, I think, to me, when I understand it, that's a successful business.
Yeah,
that's the winner.
So to summarize our first one, that is know how much money you need. Don't get yourself trapped in your business. Understand, how much money you need first. And then we talk about the second subject. And then Andrew Deutsch is going to be able to help us with this one a bit. But understand your business valuation and basic valuation fundamentals. And when we talk about that, we're talking about, profitability obviously is part of your business valuation and industry and different things like that. And as we go through that, though, there are things that I know Andrew has helped before, and that is on risk. When you talk about things like customer concentration risk, and you talk about other risks that you have to do on your customer side. So Andrew Deutsch, you've done a little bit of diligence for some equity groups on transactions in the customer base and things like that. What do they typically look for in that when they're talking with you?
Well, our program, we call it PE forensics. We look at all the things that don't show up on a balance sheet, on a spreadsheet, or otherwise. It's we're able to see beneath the surface. So we can look at a potential acquisition to see, like you said, what percentage of their clients are in one basket is in the spreadsheet. So for example, 80% of our business is with one customer, as opposed to 80% of our business is divided between our top 10, which is a risk. But then how do you evaluate whether or not that situation is actually beneficial or not? The other side of it is, what is the quality of the marketing message? What's the status of their brand in the market? How do they play against other alternatives that solve the same solutions? All of those things become factors. And there's cases. There was a project we did for a private equity group. They were looking to buy a company that had a special technology for cutting and stamping metals for high temperature applications. They had 80% of their business with their top 10 customers, which seemed like a pretty decent scenario. What we discovered in the research was that there was a new poured molded polymer that cost half, that could resist higher heat, last longer, and was quicker to market. And all of their clients were in the process of testing that product, and so far successfully. So we recommended to the private equity group, you really ought to look at this. This is a huge risk. The chances are everyone's going to the polymer and you're going to lose 80% of your business. And sure enough, they backed out. Another group bought the company, and 60 days later, they were selling the assets off because it was no longer a viable business that they just spent, I think it was $11 million on. So, those kinds of things. Other things, the quality of the sales team, the quality of the messaging, the branding, without giving away who the company was, they had been selling to Coca-Cola, and they had lost the account for reasons that could be resolved. But the question was asked, well, you were selling so much to Coke, how come you weren't selling to Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Snapple, and these other major brands? And the response from the head of sales was, well, they've never reached out to us. And in that case, the recommendation was, if you find a real sales manager, you guys could pick up $2-3 million in business with these other players. The fact is, they have a sales manager who thinks that customers look for him. And that was a don't just buy it now, get rid of the guy, and let's make this happen. And again, the success was they brought in a real sales team. They brought in a fractional sales manager while they were searching. And before he left, he had picked back Coke, Dr. Pepper, Snapple, and Pepsi all became clients, and they doubled the book in less than the first 30 days of the business.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's those kinds of things that you can't see in the books. And then there's cases where we're brought in and our fee is wonderful because it's almost like an insurance policy. Hey, we evaluated everything. These guys are in great shape and ready to go to the next level. Congratulations, you've got a good buy. And they go, well, is that beneficial? Absolutely. If I'm going to blow X amount on buying a new business, to know I've got one more due diligence check that says, hey, this is good.
Yeah.
Also a value.
Well, and you do something that helps, I think, on both sides. It would help somebody selling a business, and it would help
Absolutely.
somebody that's buying a business, because you touched on the one thing. When you're going to make a multi-million-dollar business decision, whether it's 5 million, 500 million, it's a significant decision in your world. Whether you're an investment buyer, whether you're an individual buyer, doesn't matter. So
let's take it to the next step, though, into what you're talking about. So in these cases where we've done this work, there's a little bonus prize that comes. Typically, when private equity takes over a company, there's a 3 to 6 month learning period to figure out what they're going to do next. We can actually have the total framework of that go-to-market strategy almost finished to then complement, and within 30 days, they're already taking positive actions to grow the business. The other side of it is, we've done projects where, as we're hired into a company knowing that they have an interest, much like Exit Your Way does, and we'll be doing this together. They know in 5 years they want to sell. Yeah. So they bring us in to say, let's rethink the total marketing package, because they want to present to private equity or whoever's going to be buying that company next in the best light, so that they can share a solid strategy. They can show the kind of growth, the kind of margin, all of those things that are necessary. So let's do a rebrand, a refresh of the brand, retraining and growth of the message and sales, so that in 5 years, the maximum output is gained. And we've seen companies that we've actually doubled in less than 3 years. And the most recent one, it sold for $10 million more than the expectation was at the point of sale, because we doubled their business and expanded margins significantly.
Yeah. Well, it can change quickly, and
that's for sure.
The business owners too. I mean, it's not just. This is interesting. This is really interesting, because Andrew's. I've had, whether good or bad, I've been through a lot of diligence on deals. Some successfully and some not. And the preparation is and all of that. Really what we're getting here to is that if you're a business owner, you should always have your company on diligence, not just when it happens. And that's because what Andrew's doing there is looking at every aspect of the business and evaluating it from the eye of the buyer, and what value it is contributing to the organization, what every aspect of it. And if you have those processes in place, you have those people in place, those all add value to the company. You can't just put a for sale sign. You got to step up there, and you got to bring a playbook. You got to show an operating manual, with projections looking forward, and show some if you start to show some traction towards that effort, you can get a lot of value for that in the sale of the company.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you're bringing this up, because I think this comes back around to the business valuation, and as we talked about, the fundamentals of business valuation are the same. It's profitability and risk, and Andrew's addressing risk in the current customer base. It's also in how the growth potential and those kind of things. They're also going to be looking at the valuations on the growth trajectory, the management team in place. Owner dependence is one that's really big. You can have a $50 million company or $100 million company that if the owner fell over dead, the company would implode, and you can't have that. And that's one of the things, and I know Troy sees this probably a fair amount, that you can have an extremely successful company, extremely successful. And it's awesome because the sun's coming out there, Troy. I can see it. It's great. It's an extremely successful company that they can't sell. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars companies that they can't sell because this person is just the integral part of it. And how many times do you see that where they're kind of stuck in them that way, Troy?
Oh, often. We often see that, and that's the sad part, right? Is I really, Andrew, we gotta work together, because there's a number of companies that I see that really just don't evaluate their risk. And my goal is to meet these companies early and for them to understand what their risks are, and one of them being the fact that what if the owner falls down, gets hit by a bus, and then what's going to happen to that company? Suddenly, all the intellectual capital and value of the company could be rolled up into one person, and that's a high level of risk. I see it too.
Yeah, and it is. You make a good point. It's not just owner dependence, but it dependence upon one person for some reason with a key relationships, other things that affects your value. But really, the second question that we are covering here is understand your business value and basic value fundamentals. I think we've covered that well. And one of the things that Andrew Deutsch covered, which is our third thing, and I want to thank Mike Finger from Exit Oasis. He helps small businesses exit. He's got three things that he talks about, but this is one that he talks about a lot. You have to make it easy for the new buyer to duplicate the results. And that is one of the things that Andrew, as you talk about with the sales and your evaluations, the sales process, because everybody, hey, let's be real frank here. If your company doesn't have good sales, nobody's going to want to buy it. And that's why I think having understanding that really well and understanding your sales process so that buyer can duplicate the results, whether it's $100 million private equity deal that they're going to take over the whole thing, or it's an individual that's going to buy a business, that's the same. So the sales process, management teams, and everything else. So Andrew, what do you think about that? Oh, he's on mute.
Just to show, I put in the chat a recent podcast of the Fangled Cast talking to a major player in the PE world, nice, covering what they think about and what they look at in companies. So if somebody wants to compliment what we're talking about today, get out. Nice. And of course, like and subscribe and all that kind of bullshit. But anyhow, one of the things that benefits us is when private equity or buyers make the mistake of buying a company where the owner is the secret sauce, and now he's either got his big check, even though he said, I'm going to stick around for a couple of years, or left. We've done several projects where we've been brought in as the fractional CMO or implanted CMO for a company when the purchase was made, and then it went. There was a company in Georgia we worked with. They were like a $7 million company. And by the time we were brought in, they were a $2 million company. Why? Because the secret sauce got their big checks and they left.
Yeah.
So that is one of the major risk factors of what's there. And one of the things that private equity tends to in business, they want to see the documentation of everything that the company does. What are the rules of the road? What are the standard operating procedures of a company, and how well do those go through and are followed within the organization? Because if those are in place, then there isn't that one guy who has the tribal knowledge that will sink the business.
Yeah. That's so true. And I know we talk a lot about investment buyers because that's typically who we work with. But this is for any size business buyer. They're gonna want to know that they can. It's going to be easy for them, as easy as possible for them to duplicate the results. I mean, they just have to be, because they're investing money again. And the sellers have been in business so long, usually they don't really think about that investment enough and how significant that is to somebody when they're doing it. And go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, well, I think from our experience as well, it's really difficult to get a business owner who is in the fire, constantly to step back and go, to work hard on doing this with letting go of it. But if you take, if you take a company and you are, really involved in the business, the buyers will come in, and Andrew's talking about a situation where they actually keep you on running the company, but you've lost the fire in the belly because you just pulled out a buttload of cash, and now you want to go spend it and have a good time and not work on the business. And it's not, so you've lost that. The other aspect of it is that the owner's just exiting completely. And now there's a vacuum, and there's no, is there a leadership team to fill that void? And buyers, those kind of buyers, equity buyers, they are financial people. They are not operations people. They have operations people that they will bring in and sit in that role and run the company. Usually it happens after post-transaction. And again, they know it as well as I do, because I've seen it, that that is somewhat successful. A lot of times, the old owner leaves, the new manager comes in, an operations guy, that's a big risk, whether the employees will accept that, whether it just upsets everything. Who knows? So the concept of that, though, if you can get the small business owner to be proactive about this and say, you act like the investor, the buyer. Say, this is my investment, not my job. All right. So take the time to work hard. If you could get a management team in there and work really hard on setting that up and step back and let it run successfully, and you've even done this for a few months and it's proven yourselves, your value just went from a 4x to a 6 or 7x or even an 8x, because you're at a platform level now. And what does that mean? Well, if you're selling, if your company's profitable at 4 or 5 million, you can just do the math. 7.4 is a $28 million deal as opposed to a 4x, which is a $12 million. It's a $10 million investment difference. Huge.
Yeah.
We're talking big bucks, but it's not that hard to make people like Andrew around. I mean, there's people in our audience, Jill Valdez and these folks. These are some very experienced operations people. It's a smart play if you can pull back and build that engine and let it run. And if you got a much more valuable commodity to sell to an investor when they see that in there.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I know we're going to be, it's 8:53 here in the West Coast. We're going to be running up on time here quick, but I think this leads into something that the last, I had two actually, but we'll go through the last one really fast. But the next one I have is, making this attractive to the new buyer. And you just talked about it, Andrew. And it's like, if someone's going to go into a poop storm, they don't want to buy it, man. If you're working yourself to death, and Troy sees this, and Andrew, all of us have seen this, is you can have a very successful company. The owner's making millions of dollars a year, but they're working themselves to death every second of every day. Nobody wants to buy that for all the reasons above. They're too dependent on them. It's a crappy deal. They couldn't even bring somebody in to do that if they wanted to with an investment group because it's not set up. So you need to be really working on that to make it attractive to the buyer, both from a financial standpoint and from a business standpoint. Any comments on that?
I mean,
yeah. And it's so that's the one thing you talk about, management team and being appropriate on management teams and stuff. It is really a big deal to get that right. So, and in some of the things that we work in, we work in companies that are in the $1 million EBITDA to $5 million EBITDA, where you're in a search fund kind of thing, when the search fund has CEOs that they fund in place in companies. And then you get above 5 million and you get into these companies that are actually platform companies where an equity group will buy them, and then they'll want to buy other companies and combine them with them. So those are two very different companies in the eyes of the buyer. The smaller one has to be a good middle management team ready for a CEO to come in. The owner needs to be in that CEO or board level and letting that company run. And the next one, Andrew's got to go for a meeting. Thanks.
No, I wanted to throw something in before I run. One of the other nuances to this that we find with business owners, if it's a family business, it's their baby, it's their what came. A lot of times you've got to recognize that the buyers don't have the same vision for your company that you do.
Yep.
And if you're not comfortable with that, I know of a group that their pitch is, we're going to keep your company name and the legacy alive. And that's, they're able to buy companies for less money sometimes than the other. But you have to know that just because somebody bought you and tells you what they're going to do with your company doesn't mean that you're not going to become a bolt-on, be shuttered, disappear, because many times your company will be bought based on its value in removing it from the market so you don't compete with somebody else anymore. And all of those factors are rarely disclosed in a way that you would think in the buying process. So recognize that you are selling, that the person who's building that business may be selling their baby into a life that wasn't really planned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are the six stages of selling a business, and that's acceptance, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
You have to, that is another reason that a lot of businesses don't sell or they're considered it's not a successful transaction, but
Yep.
it is the reality.
Yep. It's so powerful too. So, and when we talk about, see you later, Andrew.
I got to run. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah. And we'll wrap up real quickly here. I'm going to take one more minute now. A lot of what we talked about, people go, oh, you're talking about selling a business, but put the hat on the other way. You want to succeed this business to your child, your daughter. You want to give you want to see your daughter taking over your business and running it, your son, your kids together, whatever. You got to go through the same process. Your business has to be able to run with them. It has to be successful to them. It's got to be attractive to them. You don't, just because you grew up like we did many years before our kids, right? They don't like the same stuff. You got to make it attractive to them. And there's different decision points, obviously, in this, but what we're talking about applies throughout. So I think people think about selling and succeeding differently, but man, I'm going to tell you, succeeding in some ways is a hell of a lot harder than selling. But you have to consider the basic fundamentals of value and having good systems and management teams and easy to replicate the whole kind of thing. Because what is it, Andrew? How many businesses never succeed past the first generation? It's like 70% or something like that. Troy, you may know because you work with that a lot. It's not many.
85% do not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what's really cool? The first company I started working with out of college, they just succeeded to the third generation. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're growing. I mean, I don't know. They're large now, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks so much, Troy. Thanks to Andrew Deutsch for being here today. Thanks everyone on LinkedIn for doing this. Hey, this is something that obviously, if you didn't tell, I'm passionate about. We love helping people do this. It's lots of fun. And, when people successfully, Troy, when you see this, how much joy does it give you when you see somebody successfully, either put that money in the bank or get their kids, into the business?
It's one of the reasons I do this, honestly. I do this because of relationship, being able to stay with someone who's just worked so hard for everything, and now they get to enjoy the fruits of that labor. It's really rewarding.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much, Troy. Andrew, take us away.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for showing. This was good to see y'all. Great holiday weekend. Summer's starting. Damon didn't answer the question, so what you want to do?
I'm with Troy on the question, man. I'm with Troy on the question. I really don't even like leaving the Northwest in the summer because people don't realize the rain stops, the sun comes out, and it's 65 to 75, 80 degrees all summer long. Yeah. There's no reason, and the wind doesn't blow.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody, it was funny. Everybody had pretty much the same answer. We're just get out of the house and just get out and start doing stuff. But up here in Park City, we're doing the same thing. Just want to enjoy the music festivals. That's what I want to do. Go sit on the lawn and the outdoor concerts, which are coming back.
Good. Right. That'll be awesome because you have great summers up there too.
Yeah, mountain breeze.
Good. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to drop off LinkedIn Live here, everyone. Thanks for listening to us on LinkedIn Live. Thanks to everyone for joining us on Remo. We will be back again next week. Talk to you then.
See y'all.
All right.